Hey, what's up, guys? All right, so obviously we didn't have a Black Clover chapter out last week, which is it's excusable, it's understandable. We saw at the end of chapter 109. It's not like it was just out of nowhere. We saw at the end of chapter 109, Black Clover will be on break for a week due to the creator's health issues. We it's understandable. We gotta let Tabayuki take a break every now and then so that he can keep pumping out chapters this amazing like he's been doing on a consistent basis. But now that I think about it, if you actually examine what's been going on with Shonen Jump with their manga lately, I think this actually might be something that they've basically been planning, like a way to give creators a new break every now and then, so they can keep coming out with chapters and get back to work and everything. Because if you look at it, the week before Black Clover went on break, Oda's One Piece went on break, and then obviously Black Clover went on break last week, and then if you look at Shonen Jump release this week, Boku no Hero Academia is on break, and all three breaks were due to the same reason, giving the creator a week off due to health issues. And you know what? It'd be a pretty big coincidence if the creators of Shonen Jump's arguably biggest three mangas coming out weekly right now were all having health issues within the same span of the same 3 weeks. It's I'm guessing that this is honestly something that Shonen Jump scheduled out for these three creators just to give them a break so they can actually have time to recharge, like I said, and actually then come back even stronger. Because as you know, Oda continually has to take breaks just due to his health because he's constantly having health issues because of how much he's actually working. But anyway, we are back with another chapter, and actually, I'm glad to say that I called it in the last chapter review. What exactly would end up happening in this chapter? It didn't get to the extent that I thought it would, and maybe we'll go on with it more in the next chapter. But I called in the last week's chapter review that we'd be taking a break from the actual fight and going on to see what's going on with a lot of the other fights going on or the other people going on throughout the castle. Which starting off, we got to see more of the fight between Jack and Noel versus Fauna, which I'm always down for. I was down for in the last week's chapter because, like I said, I would like to see these fights continue or finish off before we get to the end of the actual big main fight. Which seemingly by the end of the chapter we're basically getting in there. We'll probably have like maybe 1 or 2 chapters left before this fight's actually done. The only thing that disappointed me about this is that we didn't really get to see much of Noelle actually fighting in this chapter. In fact, we didn't actually get to see much of her fighting in this fight in general. It's mostly been like we started off with her fighting, and then we got to see Jack show up, and then we cut away from it for a long time. And then when we finally get back to it, it's basically just Jack using his attacks on Fauna. Nothing really for Noelle to do in this fight. But basically, at this part of the chapter, which is kind of like the middle part, I'm skipping the beginning for a second. But at this part of the chapter, we basically just check in with everyone else who's been in the castle, and we see that black like slimy wormy goo thing that the demon had sent out to the rest of the castle to kill everyone else is quickly closing in on everybody. Nozel tries to warn Noel and Jack about what's going on. He actually uses his silver magic to save Fauna from it, but there's not really much they can do. It's quickly coming in on them. Even Mario Leona shows up at the last minute to save them using her own attacks, but even that's not really being effective against it. We also see quick glimpses of Fugoyan, and we also see Charmy, who's obviously carrying Lil. I guess she, at the last minute, was like, all right, well, I'm not going to leave him here because he is kind of like a captain of the Magic Knights. So she picks him up and actually runs away with him, running away from the black goo as soon as it starts getting to the area that the two of them were in. And basically, Fugoyan, we actually already saw he was carrying basically the knocked out corpse, or not the knocked out corpse, but he was carrying the knocked out body of the Purple Orca's new captain away on Salamander, and the goo is actually closing in on them as well. But actually, it was nice to see at least these two characters, at least these characters again, right before we get to the end of this arc. Anyway, like I said, it's the magic's starting to close in on them. They're basically on the verge of death right here. And this is when we check back in with basically Lumiere and with Lich. And seemingly, all right, in the last chapter, they had a huge major death flag. Like they said something to Patria that made it seem like in the next chapter or two they would die. But then when we see them in this chapter, just based off of the death flag that they said in the last chapter, you would think that they're going to do something against the demon that would basically cause them to die. But in this chapter, instead of fighting the demon, they leave that to Asta and Yuno. And basically, the two of them actually join hands, hold on to the sword that Lich is currently using, and use that sword to, instead of borrow magic power from the people connected to it by Lich, they actually use that to send their magic power to those people, basically using their own mana and energy to basically protect them. And you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense because if you remember, Lumiere has light magic, which is actually very effective against the demon. So by enveloping everyone else in his light magic, they're able to protect them from that goo. So that's basically the only way to keep them safe at the moment while they're all trying to flee from the castle. Which, you know what, now that I think of, I'm not exactly sure how they plan on escaping the castle, because if you remember, they had to pass through a kind of like dimensional portal in order to get into it. And once they got into the castle, they were all obviously split up with no clear entry point in the castle whatsoever. So with the castle being overrun by that black goo and them on the run from it, it would be very hard for them to actually search for an exit, especially when they had no idea where it could possibly be. So yeah, I'm thinking the only possible way that they can actually get out of this castle is to use the Dark Dimensional Slash. And you know what, this actually makes a lot of sense because we've already been toting up something big for Yami to do. In fact, at the end of the chapter, right, so let's just jump right into what we actually see with Yami in the chapter. So we check in with Yami and Charlotte very briefly at the end of the chapter, and we see that basically Charlotte and Yami are both enveloped in the light magic from Lumiere as well, you know, just because of the fact that Charlotte obviously would be since she's connected to a witch. And actually, it's actually kind of funny. We actually get a quick moment where we see Charlotte's, the elf Charlotte, basically yelling at Yami not to get too close to her, even though he has to snuggle up real close to her just so he can be affected by the light magic, since he obviously wouldn't have it spread to him, since it's only going towards elves and everyone that they're connected to by directly by touching. But anyway, we see a quick moment or two of them, and basically what we end up finding out is that through her connection to Lich, Charlotte is able to actually see what's going on the battlefield. So Yami is going to have her basically direct his Dark Dimensional Slash that he's going to shoot from where they are below the fight in order to damage the demon as much as he can with that last attack he has. Okay, so after I get done reading every chapter, I like to go and basically look at the comments from people who have read the chapter and see what they're thinking, see, you know, if any theories are popping up, stuff like that. And this is the fastest amount of comments I've ever seen be brought onto a chapter immediately after it's been released. And this is actually kind of funny. I wanted to quickly put these up there. I know I usually don't put these in my kind of videos, but I wanted to put that up there because the way that people were talking about Yami in this comment section, in fact, the majority of the comments were about Yami, and the way people were talking about him in this comment section made it seem like everyone wants Yami to be more of the main character than Asta is. Like, I always knew that Yami was a fan favorite character, but I didn't think it was to this extent. So yeah, I wanted to basically briefly put those comments in there. I might do this, you know, again later on in the future if I see more funny comments like that. So this might just be like a normal section of my reviews. I don't want to really follow into the trope that Sawyer 7 Mage does. I don't want to try to copy his method. That's why I usually don't do this. But if this is something that you guys like and want to see more of in my videos, you know, just funny comments here and there, just, you know, put somewhere in the random video, just let me know in the comment section down below. We also get to see more of Yuno and Asta during this fight, and it's actually kind of interesting because we have Yuno basically being the strategist in this part, because he realizes, which I'm not sure if he's just now realizing this or he's just now being vocal about it, but he realizes that Asta's anti-magic is very effective against a demon. And the reason why the demon is actually going into a frenzy, being very pissed off, being very aggressive with his attacks, is simply because of the fact that that last attack that Asta landed on him did a lot of damage to him. And the demon knows that if Asta can land one clean hit on his heart, it's over. The fight's over. The demon will die. So he's trying to basically prevent that by being aggressive and actually just throwing attack after attack at them. So Yuno's trying to basically think of a strategy in order to get Asta to the demon's heart so they can land one clean swing on it and end the fight. While Asta, on the other hand, he realizes that he's basically running out of time. Because even though in his new black form he has more control over it, he also is very quickly running out of energy. Because if you remember, Asta has a limit of using his black form twice a day, and he had already used it before he even entered the castle. Now, because of the fact that Mimosa healed him, he was able to use the black form again. But because of the fact that he's been using it constantly over and over again, and now he's in a more advanced version of the black form, he is quickly running out of energy, so he knows that he doesn't have much time left in order to fight against the demon with this new form. Which, you know what, I'm actually kind of happy that we're going to see Asta taking a kind of a back seat since he's running out of energy and needs to preserve as much of it as he can for that last attack. Just because I've been saying that I want to see more of Yuno's new form, I want to see him actually do something with this. I want to see it actually be put up a good fight against the demon. So I would like to see Yuno take the center stage for a little while, basically use his new abilities to find a way to come up with a strategy to clear out the path for Asta. The chapter ends on the final page basically showing off Yami, Asta, and Yuno, all three of them basically being the main three who are going to continue on the fight, while we see Patry defending Lich and Lumiere while they basically protect everyone else in the castle. Now, it's kind of obvious, I'm sure everyone else has pretty much figured out what's going to happen. Basically, in the next few chapters, when we actually see the fight conclude, it's going to be a sequence of events. It's going to be Yami using his Dark Dimensional Slash to cut a gateway or opening to the demon directly for Asta and Yuno. Yuno's going to use his wind magic, his new abilities, to basically protect Asta from any lingering threats on his way to the demon, while doing the same thing he did in the previous chapter, or the chapter before that, where he used his wind magic to propel Asta forward so he can get a clean, fast strike on the demon. And then Asta's just going to, take him out in that final last slash. The only problem is that they have no idea where the demon moved his heart to. So in order to finish him off, they have to figure that out. So we're going to wait a little while. We're going to have Yami hold off on his attack long enough for Yuno to basically analyze where the demon possibly moved his heart to. But that's pretty much it for the review, guys. There's not really much else to talk about in the chapter. It's pretty much everything that happens. It was cool to see everyone else again, Fugoyan, Meryl, Yuno especially. I'm always down for my girl Meryl, Yuno to show up. It was actually nice to see Nozel. It was nice to get a brief moment. Checking back in with the fight between Jack and Noelle versus Fauna, even though we didn't actually really get to see the fight that much. But speaking actually, before I go, speaking of the fight, I am surprised that Jack was so willing to drop the fight as quickly as he did in the chapter. I honestly thought it would be more of an argument between him and Nozel, but Jack immediately just dropped the fight. In fact, we don't even get to really see Jack's reaction in the chapter. We just see that he's not attacking anymore. So I guess that just means he dropped the fight, but yeah, I'm actually surprised by that. But anyway, that's pretty much all there was for this chapter. That's it for the review. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.